Erev Tov, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our daily Daven this evening. Many of you would have seen me online last night as we shared the minyan for John Engelman. And again, it was that reminder of the importance of sharing grief and sorrow together, as well as sharing joy and all the smachot, all the simchas we can imagine. And later in the service, I'm going to share with you just a brief article that I found, and many of you will relate to this, and I haven't gone on to the chat yet, on how virtual tefillah, Zoom services like our daily Daven, brought one individual closer to their Judaism. And with that in mind, let us turn to the Baruch Hu on page 4, and we rise if we are able.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Oh, it's still muted, Kim.
The pad was a little bit sticky, the mouse pad. It's the flat one from my Apple. Join me, friends, with the Mariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Mariv Aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sharim, ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרתיהם ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אתה, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Amen. And on page 15, sing the song of men and women, join in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of shalom, of peace. Micha Mocha, page 16.
No Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Let's join in Hashkivenu together on page 18. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our sovereign to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. God, our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, Shomer Amor Yisrael La'ad. Let's turn to page 20 for the Chatzi Kaddish, and then of course we'll jump to the Amidah on page 74. We rise if we're able. The Amidah, Chatzi Kaddish, page 20.
Yitkadal ve'yitkadash meraba, amen.
Amen.
Ve'alma divarach yilute ve'amlich malchute v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayircho beit Yisrael b'hagana uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shmer Rabba mevorach le'alam u'lameh almaya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbah v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithada v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran me'alma ve'imru amen.
Page 74.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Emotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imachot, U'Mevig Geola Lifnei B'neihem, L'Mahan Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיים מתים, אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח מוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך מתמך חיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך הקדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Page 96, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Elam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Elam. Ki atahu melech adon, bechol hashalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב, ישראל עמך, תשים אליו. שלום רב, ישראל עמך, תשים אליו. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון, לכל השלום. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב, ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב, על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Amen. Tammy, that's not a version of Shalom Rav that I'm familiar with. Can you share just a second about it, or two?
Sure, it's a melody by Abby Strauss. She's an American cantorial soloist and on her journey to becoming a cantor. And I've shared it a couple of times now in different ways at Daily Daven and at some Mincha services and pop-up Shabbat. And I love the melody is driving, and it feels like a call to action to work towards the peace that this prayer speaks of.
It's really quite lovely. So thank you for sharing. So friends, at the beginning of the Daily Daven, I mentioned that I was going to share with you an article about coming together on Zoom. And I found this article, and you're welcome to look it up, in a magazine called Tablet Mag, and it's an online tabletmag.org. So please have a look, tabletmag.org. Have a look at it. And this article was written on the 19th of January this year, 2021, by a woman by the name of Ivy Eisenberg. And she started to join. She's a member of a Reconstructionist shul. She grew up in a Reform shul in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York area. And in the article, she talks about the death of one of her parents. and then tragically the death of her second parent, and how through the death and the loss of her first parent, she started to go to the daily Daven. It was because of COVID and everything. It was online, and but it was a morning minyan as opposed to us who have an evening minyan. So I'm going to just share with you a couple of paragraphs from the article because she also has a very beautiful way of writing, and this is what she shares. The daily morning minyan is a hardcore Davener's minyan, not a beginner service, as I learned when I began attending last spring to say Kaddish. I was consistently running behind the humana of the group. It was humiliating. While I was on mute for most of it, I was visible on screen, flipping pages, standing at the wrong time, sitting at the wrong time, looking up to see what everyone else was doing. As I struggled to read the Hebrew, the English, and the transliteration, my attention often drifting to the poems and the interesting commentaries sprinkled throughout the prayer book. Everyone else seemed to be, well, praying. I was editing the prayer book poems in my head, falling behind, then catching up, and falling behind. It wasn't just my lack of Hebrew that threw me, it was that people were there for me. Yes, they were there for themselves as well, but they were making a minyan for the mourners. All these years, I drew strength and joy by being there for others. I never wanted to call attention to myself. I never wanted to be vulnerable. I hated to ask for help. Was this fierce independence the root of my inability to pray? And then she goes on. And this intimate group of Daveners was giving me a daily hug. I could have stopped after 7 days, the Shiva period, or after 30 days, the Shloshim. And if I'd been attending in person, I probably would have, because I would have been obsessed about getting to work on time and filling every crevice of free time with activity. But Zoom provided the perfect balance of distance and intimacy for this half introvert, and each day I felt more of a connection. I was face to face with a small group of people I knew, but I was nestled in my own space, flanked by my books to the right and back, my file cabinets, my cluttered bulletin board in front, the space heater by my feet, and the east window to my left. Group prayer was both group prayer and individual prayer. We had a minute or two after the service to share in a personal good news. This was voluntary, so I was not pressured to chit-chat. The COVID-19 lockdown gave me the gift of time and an opportunity to slow down, to reflect on life and death, and pray for peace, health, and safety. Something for you to think about, the beauty of prayer. And in the Daily Daven tomorrow, this is an incentive to come back, I'm going to share the second part of that article. I'm not reading everything in the article, friends, because it's quite a long article. But I just know when I read that, I'm like, this is our Daily Daven too, in so many ways. And Tama, I'm sure that you would agree. So we'll leave the article there, and let's come back to it tomorrow. Tam, if you could lead us in Aleinu on page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בכפי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, Ushema, Ushema, Ushema Echad.
And so, friends, as we pause to remember those who died in the last week as part of the Shiva, those who died as part of the Shloshim, the 30 days, and of course the yard sites tonight, and there is only one, but please feel free in the chat to mention anyone you wish. For the week of Shiva, we remember John Engelman and Solly Fain. And for the Shloshim, we remember Melissa Appel, Harold Basser, Rhea Chaya Berman, David East, Faye Epstein, Brian Goldsmith, Sandra Morgan, Elijah Mashinsky, Trace Smids, Margaret Rosen, Alice Werner. And for the yard sites, we remember Suzanne Nozick, mother of Tom Garrett. If you'd like to mention the name of a loved one, please do in chat, or even just utter the name out loud to yourself. Because I think in many ways the universe will hear and our hearts will join you as we join together with Kaddish Yatom on page 598. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, ya'amad yivrach yiriteh v'yamlich malchuteh, chayachon of yomechon, uv'chayeda chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'izman kariv v'meru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach l'olam l'amei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitada v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha v'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran b'alma v'meru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'av le'tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved in Zion and Jerusalem and around the world. And we say,
Amen.
Amen. Tam, what are you going to take us out in this beautiful evening together?
Well, hearing your words from the article I was flipping through, maybe someone saw that I was flipping through the pages, made me think that to end with Hinei Matov, how great it is that this community can be together each evening. I'm not sure many people in this group need a cliffhanger for tomorrow. I think they'll be back anyway, but
I think they're going to
still left us with one.
I think they're going to read the article as well, since people asked for the reference, so...
It is so lovely for us all to be together and to have created this community here in our daily Daven. So we'll join together with the words of Hinei Matov Umanayim. Hinei Matov Umanayim.